There's a door deep within the Vatican that only a handful of people in human history have ever been allowed to see behind. It's not just any door. It's made of ancient wood reinforced with iron, hidden beneath the Apostolic Palace and marked not with a sign, but with silence. What lies beyond that door has sparked centuries of rumors. Some call it the secret archive, others believe it's the chamber of forbidden truths. But few understand the true weight of what's stored there. Manuscripts older than the Bible itself. Letters from saints and demons, and prophecies never meant to be read by the public. The Vatican has long been both the spiritual heart of Catholicism and the keeper of some of the world's deepest mysteries. But while the faithful gather in St. Peter's Square, very few know that hidden just beneath their feet may be the greatest untold history of humankind. This video will not only uncover what's been whispered about for centuries, it will piece together forbidden fragments they never wanted you to see. Before we go deeper, don't forget to subscribe. What you're about to discover has been buried for centuries, but now it's time to bring it into the light. In 1612, a mysterious decree issued by Pope Paul V sealed thousands of documents away from the public eye. Texts so sensitive, so dangerous, that even cardinals were forbidden from accessing them without papal permission. These writings were locked into what is now known as the Vatican Apostolic Archive. But what could be so dangerous about old pieces of parchment? One of the most shocking claims comes from scholars who, after gaining temporary access, reported seeing manuscripts that predate the canonical Gospels, presenting a radically different image of Jesus, one closer to a revolutionary philosopher than the divine figure we've come to know. There are scrolls written in Aramaic, Coptic, and even ancient Egyptian dialects, many of them referencing mystical teachings, cosmic battles, and angelic beings not mentioned in the modern Bible. Some even describe the Watchers, entities who descended from the heavens and mingled with mankind, mirroring stories found in the Book of Enoch, a text the Church removed from its official canon. Why were these writings hidden? Because they threatened to change the narrative, to reveal a truth that empowered individuals rather than institutions. A truth that suggested direct communication with the divine was possible, without intermediaries. It's no wonder the Church kept them hidden. Because if the people discovered the spiritual power they truly possessed, control would slip from the hands of the few, and awaken something unstoppable in the many. If you're still with us, let me know in the comments. Do you believe the Church has hidden spiritual knowledge from the world? Among the sealed texts rumored to exist in the depths of the Vatican archives, one in particular has ignited controversy for centuries, a parchment referred to in whispers as Codex Pietatis, or the Scroll of Compassion. According to unconfirmed reports from insiders and expelled scholars, this document presents a narrative in which Jesus did not die as we were taught. Instead, it details an alternative timeline, one in which the crucifixion was symbolic, and the true resurrection was a metaphysical transformation, not a physical one. This text, attributed to an early sect of Essenes, describes the crucifixion as an initiation rite, similar to mystery religions of ancient Egypt and Greece. This theory doesn't just challenge church dogma, it rewrites the foundation of Christian belief. It proposes that salvation is not something granted by a church or mediated by suffering, but an internal awakening, where the soul resurrects from the illusion of matter. It speaks of Christ as a symbol of divine consciousness within every human, not as an external savior. For those who have seen it, if it truly exists, this scroll may be the greatest spiritual threat to hierarchical religion ever written. But here's the twist. Even though the Vatican denies its existence, similar versions of this text have mysteriously surfaced in remote monasteries across Ethiopia and Armenia, matching the descriptions word for word. Coincidence, or a crack in the wall of silence? Now pause and reflect. If you were taught a different version of salvation your entire life, would you be brave enough to question it? Or would you fear what lies beyond the veil? Not every pope has agreed to keep the Church's darkest secrets buried. Over the centuries, a handful of them dared to lift the veil, only to be met with sudden illness, mysterious death, or complete historical erasure. Take Pope John Paul I, for example. Elected in 1978, he spoke openly, albeit subtly, about the need to cleanse the Church of hidden powers and make the truth accessible to all. But just 33 days into his papacy, he was found dead in his bed. The official cause? A heart attack. But no autopsy was ever performed. And the documents surrounding his death? Still sealed. Then there's Pope Celestine V, a man of deep mysticism who renounced the papacy in 1294 after only 5 months. Some say he was overwhelmed by spiritual visions. Others claim he discovered writings in the Vatican's possession that shattered his faith in the institution. Shortly after his resignation, he was imprisoned by his successor and died in captivity. Even Pope Benedict XVI, the only pope in modern history to resign willingly, was rumored to have stepped down due to internal pressure after reviewing documents tied to child abuse, Freemasonry, and secret theological findings. Is it a coincidence that the few men who dared to confront the Church's hidden truths, especially those that might empower the faithful beyond clerical control, met such tragic or sudden ends? Or is there a pattern too dangerous to ignore? Let us know in the comments. Do you think these resignations and deaths were part of a deeper plan to silence voices within the Church? Or is it all just divine timing? Pope Francis has often been described as the people's pope, a man of humility, simplicity, and openness. But beneath the surface of his public image, there are signs that his papacy may be part of something far more profound or far more dangerous. From the very beginning of his time in the Vatican, Francis has spoken openly about the need for transparency, calling for access to archives and reforms in the Church's deepest inner workings. But what many don't realize is that, according to leaked documents and testimonies from within the Curia, he has personally reviewed a section of the secret archive. One retired Vatican official claimed in a private letter that Pope Francis was shaken by what he saw, not because it challenged his faith, but because it demanded a choice: protect the legacy of secrecy or risk everything to awaken the truth. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, he's been taking steps, calling for dialogue with other religions, acknowledging the possible existence of extraterrestrial life without denying God's sovereignty, opening up discussions about mystical texts once deemed heretical. Is this just modernization, or revelation in disguise? Some within the Church see him as a threat. Others whisper that he may be the last pope, fulfilling the chilling final line of St. Malachi's prophecy, which foretells the end of the papacy as we know it. But here's the most haunting question of all. Has Pope Francis already begun releasing these secrets, little by little, hidden in plain sight? Stay with us, because in the next chapter we'll reveal 3 mysterious messages that have already been made public, and no one noticed. Until now. While the world focused on headlines and political drama, 3 public moments from Pope Francis quietly echoed ancient prophecies and long-hidden truths. They weren't front-page news. But to those paying attention, they were signals. 1. The Black Stone Message, 2019. During a visit to Abu Dhabi, Pope Francis held an interfaith prayer beside a black stone structure, a design eerily similar to ancient altars used in pre-Christian Middle Eastern rituals. In his speech, he referred to the children of Enoch, a name absent from modern Catholic teachings but central in the Book of Enoch, a banned text that describes angels descending from heaven to teach humanity. Was this a cryptic acknowledgement? 2. The Empty Chair, 2020 Easter Mass. At the height of the global pandemic, Pope Francis stood alone in a darkened St. Peter's Square. A single chair remained behind him, unoccupied. Analysts later discovered that this was the same chair used during the installation of Pope John Paul I, who, as we've seen, died mysteriously after attempting to expose Vatican corruption. Was it a silent tribute, or a warning? 3. The Baptismal Scroll Quotation, 2023. In a lesser-known address to theology students, Francis cited a phrase, "By water and light, man remembers his origin." That exact phrase is found only in an unpublished translation of a scroll discovered in Qumran in 1956, never publicly referenced by any pope before. The odds of this being coincidence? Almost none. 3 moments, 3 signs, all dismissed by the public. But seen together, they whisper of something unfolding. If the Vatican's deepest secrets were to be revealed tomorrow, all of them, what would happen? First, faith as we know it would be shaken. Millions who built their spiritual identity around fixed narratives might experience a crisis. Some would reject the revelations. Others would cling tighter to tradition. But a third group, those waiting for a higher truth, might finally awaken. Imagine the global shockwaves if humanity discovered that ancient texts were hidden confirming alien life, or that early Christian mystics believed God dwelled within us, not above. Imagine the power shift if people realized they didn't need spiritual gatekeepers to connect with the divine. Religious institutions might collapse, or evolve. Governments would be forced to respond. New questions would flood our collective consciousness. What else have they hidden? What do we truly believe? But not all consequences would be negative. A revelation could lead to a massive spiritual renaissance, where people, freed from fear and dogma, begin exploring divine truth without limitation. Mysticism, energy, sacred geometry, lost civilizations, and the language of angels would return to the forefront of spiritual dialogue. In the chaos there would also be clarity, because when the veil burns away we no longer worship shadows, we stand face to face with the light that was always there. And perhaps that is what the Vatican fears most, not the end of faith, but its rebirth in the hearts of the free. If you've made it this far, comment, "I see the veil falling," and help us spread this truth. We are not alone in this awakening. Let us know below, are these clues? Or are we simply seeing what we want to believe? Either way, the pattern grows stronger. For centuries, the Vatican has stood as both a beacon of faith and a fortress of silence. Within its walls are the bones of saints and the books of forgotten prophets. Its halls echo with hymns, but also with secrets. And yet, no matter how many scrolls are buried, no matter how many truths are sealed behind iron doors, the Spirit remembers. You see, truth is not just ink on a page. It's not chained to rituals or confined to sacred chambers. Truth is alive. It flows through dreams, symbols, whispers, intuition. It calls to those who listen, and it cannot be erased. Perhaps that's why you're here now. Not by accident, but because a part of you already sensed that something deeper was waiting. That beyond the doctrines and debates lies something ancient, divine, and raw. A truth they tried to erase, but that your soul never forgot. You don't need permission to seek it. You don't need a title to feel it. Because the light doesn't ask for approval. It simply shines. So now we ask you, if this message stirred something inside you, share it. Be the messenger that the hidden world fears. Let this video be the first ripple in a wave of awakening. Like, comment, subscribe. But most of all, question everything. Seek beyond the veil. And never forget, the truth was always inside you. Thank you for watching Beyond Yourself. Until next time, keep seeking.